Remember 40 years ago, back in March, when I did a Kickstarter for a book about companions? Well, holy crap, that thing is finished, and you can buy the PDF right now and have it on your computer for your next session. That's over 100 new monsters, beautiful illustrations, new mechanics, items, and more. All the physical stuff is set to be fully made, packaged, and shipped out at the end of the month. You can pre-order physical copies too if you'd like, it's only around the corner. I got antsy during the Kickstarter and pledged the big tier, and now that I have some of the physical samples and I got to look at all the rewards, I think that this box is going to be too big to fit in the door for a book. I'm proud of myself for once. Okay, here's the video. Welcome to Limbo, the ever-changing chaos, the primordial soup of raw, undying energy, and home to some of the scariest toads in the universe. I think all of us are familiar with the concept of limbo in some way. For some people, limbo is a weird loophole for baby souls that didn't do anything bad, but also didn't do anything cool, so they can't get into heaven exactly. And for others, it's a game where you're a little boy at the edge of hell that's running in one direction looking for your sister and dying all the time. For the golden few, it's a dance where you make fun of people who have bad backs. And for creators, it's a state where your creative muse just walks out the door, so you become a husk of a person for a few months. But in the D&D cosmology, it's a reality that represents fundamental chaos, elemental chaos, but not actually the elemental chaos because retconning is hard. It's funny that this place is made of rolling elements that reshape and collide, but has nothing to do with the elemental planes. From a molecular standpoint, imagine there was a type of atom that was both neutral and ionized at the same time. Then imagine it could reproduce indefinitely, be affected by any chemical reaction, and cause the variety of chemical reactions to constantly go off, like a timeless atom bomb, without the bomb, whose every other property intentionally defies the laws of physics. That probably doesn't make any sense at all, but I'm leaving it in. Anyways, this place can have a pocket of water that instantly turns into methane, and then explodes into ashes, and then becomes a giant loaf of bread, and then that loaf of bread is suddenly made of steel, and on forever. Now you might have a question, or several, but I'll only answer one of them because I'm an ass. If the place is unstable forever, how can scary toads? Now I get to talk about the history because you asked that question. Once upon infinity ago, the machine god from a world that is exactly opposite to this place looked at the pure chaos. And he thought, whoa, that's different than me. I will send the power of my laws at it to enforce my laws. Also my army, for safekeeping. So he made a giant kaleidoscope structure and launched it into the chaos to create order. Like yin attacking yang, this is what we call a fundamentally stupid move. The god of order is, by design, incapable of understanding chaos. And with chaos, everything works perfectly and fails miserably at the same time. The big rock of creation and order actually brought order, and permanently altered the structure of Limbo forever. Now any creature with a strong enough mind can channel that stone's energy to shape a piece of the chaos. The Modrons, the army of law, were able to start creating giant structures and enclaves inside the chaos. I made a video about them already. Later, a race of humanoids called the Githzerai migrated to Limbo and still have temples that they keep alive by focusing forever. I made a video about that also. So that's kinda cool how things can change. Also ironic, like accepting law and order is the last thing you'd ever expect chaos to do. So it did, but it also didn't. Let me explain. The big rock of order actually soaked up a bit of the chaotic energy, and instead of doing the thing that it always does, where it alters non-living material, it made life. Meet the Battletoads. Known as the Slotty, these things exploded from all sides of the rock, which is now called the Spawning Stone because of them. They're agents of chaos, born from an attempt at order. So naturally, they slaughtered every Modron in all of Limbo and ripped their fortresses into what are now floating ruins. Lo and behold, Chaos, the enemy of hubris. And Primus, the king of law, who is just like, fuck. So let's look at some variants. Starting with the Red Slod, an aberrant monster with one distinct ability straight out of a horror film. Well, one particular horror film. With its bony claws, it can turn into a flurry of reproductive carnage by scraping into humanoids wildly. After the fight is over, with its enemies dead or alive, something starts to happen. because these claws are actually penis ovaries, and before you killed the Slod, he put a baby in you, but you didn't notice until 3 months later. You'll start to get a tummy ache for a little bit, and then you have anywhere from 2 hours to 2 days before it becomes a full-size large aberration thanks to your generous nutrients. Most often, these things become blue Slod. The nice thing about these guys is that you can rip them out and recover if you're fast enough, and if you have a team of combat-ready surgeons on standby, or Crazy Diamond, or just her cleric. Now on to the blue Slod. Hey, buddy, did you know that things can get worse? This crossbreed between Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and their archenemy Shredder is a monster whose very existence makes me want to give up and cry. If his razor-sharp claws slap you, there's a good chance that you're going to die, no matter what. Unless a fucking cleric has 1 second-level spell slot and ruins the entire plot point. Or maybe that's the chaos of it all. Beautiful. Oh yeah, so let's say you got slapped but your friends are a bunch of atheists. Every 24 hours, your grasp on being alive gets weaker and weaker, till you die, and instantly transform into a Slod. If you knew some magic, congrats, you're a wizard toad now. As an evil chaos wizard toad, you can pretend to be the normal guy that you just annihilated by being born. They like to sow general chaos on other humanoids and fling around fire when things get rough. Luckily, these ones can't make more babies. Unluckily, this isn't their final form. As they wait for an RNG ticker to eventually tell them a secret spell, they eventually gain the ability to become Grey Slod. They get some crazier magic powers and just decide that they want to learn sword fighting. So they create and master magical greatswords. Oh, I forgot to mention, remember how I said that things could get worse? And they did, and you thought that was the end of it? Not only is there one more, but I neglected to tell you that every Turbo Toad regenerates hit points constantly. And unlike trolls, fire doesn't stop it. Nothing does. So no one who does less than 10 damage a round could ever kill one. Okay, so I guess these guys only come straight out of the Mother Rock. I mean, just look at him. Don't try it. It's got even stronger spells than the other guys, it's got bigger attacks, and it's not even called the Black Slod. This one's a Death Slod. It's got death in the name. They're like the queen bees of Slods, with uncomfortably high charisma scores. They usually spend their time telling large groups of red and blue Slotty to go play outside and infect other kids with magical toad disease. If one of these things somehow actually gets killed, a gray one could just eat the body and then become one, because chaos. One cool thing about them I'd like to mention before this video becomes a part of your past are control gems. Any one of these Slotty born from a person can pretend to be that person, but True Bloods can't. Instead, they have a magical gem inside their brain that's a part of the big stone that they came from. But if you poke it out and you hold on to it, that Slod is under your command. Or rather, whatever villain the Dungeon Master gives a handful of these things to. And that's basically Limbo.